Hey everyone, it's Nadia from LiaDia Designs, and I'm back with another tutorial. Today, as you saw in the beginning of the time lapse, I was doing a bit of a pour, and what I was trying to do, so I was experimenting this week with trying to make kind of these translucent looking agate slices, like it's kind of like a quartzy kind of look. So you can see, I got these online from, I don't know, like AliExpress or something. I can't remember exactly where I found these, but I bought these a little while ago, and I wanted to kind of see if I can get a similar look. So it's kind of transparent, but it has like little details in it where it's like the pigment, or, you know, it's supposed to be like a natural agate type look to it. So it has all these little kind of interesting textures within the, oh, this is peeling off, within the, that kind of a stone agate look. So I wanted to kind of see if I could get that. I've always liked this look. I haven't really spent too much time trying to figure out how to get it, but so I did that this week, and I wanted to see what I could do with these here. So obviously I don't have this exact shape, so we're working with these in kind of a larger coaster form. I think these a lot of times are used for like nameplates and things, so it's a little bit different. But so we have these ones here, and as you saw in the video, what I did is I mixed my resin. So I was using my Counterculture Artist Thin, which is a 1-to-1, and that's a kind of a more faster curing resin. It takes about 10 to 12 hours to cure. So once I mixed it, I let it sit for maybe about 5 minutes while I was mixing all the other, or figuring out what other stuff I wanted to do. And then I started to add in all of our pigments and things into it to get the design that we're looking for here. So it sat for a few minutes because with the Artist Thin, I only have about 20 minutes once I've mixed it to pour it before it starts to thicken. So giving it about 5 to 7 minutes is usually, you know, we're getting to the point where I really need to get moving with it. So anyway, so that's what I did here. And what I use, as you saw in the video, in the time lapse, is I use these. So this is Let's Resin, and I don't know, I'm sorry, I apologize for the time lapse if it was a bit fuzzy. My camera was acting strange, but so I used these guys here. So this is Let's Resin's resin dye. Now, so these are different than alcohol inks, and they're different than pigment paste. They're different than all those things. They have a translucency to them. I've used them before for some of my stained glass pieces. They keep their translucency, but they have some, you can get some very vibrant colors in them depending on how much you use. So you can go very light and very tinted, or you can go darker by adding more. So, and there was a white in there. I haven't used the white before. This is the first time I used the white, but it gave us that kind of like, you know, foggy kind of look to it. So semi-translucent, semi-transparent look to it. So I wanted to try that. I think that was the main difference for what I wanted to try for these, because I haven't, normally I'd probably just default to pigment paste, but I wanted to try these to see how they would look, and I think they might work out based on what we see here. So what I had done is I had the clear, added a few drops of the white to kind of just get that cloudy kind of look to it. And then after I mixed that, I went in and I added kind of drops of colors. And when I stirred, I didn't stir fully, like I didn't completely mix it. I left it so that there were streaks in the of the pigment in the cup, and then I poured. So that's how we kind of got what we have here. So you can see there's actually a lot of streaks in there. Now that it also, as it normally would be, the back pulls together, because the resin always wants to move to the center. So we did have that happen here, which is kind of neat, but it looks like, if I look through here, it looks like the other side, it didn't do the same thing. So we're probably gonna have a different look on the other side. So anyway, so this one I mixed the blue and, well, two different kinds of blue. It's a peacock blue and a sky blue. And then for the other one, I mixed the peach red and the blue violet. So just my hands in the way there. So there, to get this one here. And then of course a little bit of the white as well, so that we can get a little bit of that detailing. So let's see how they turned out. All right, so that looks really nice. You guys can see those details in there. So it has quite a lot of interesting kind of marbling happening in here. It's really cool looking, actually. And that was just a single pour. Like, I didn't do anything to it. I didn't, you know, I didn't put my popsicle stick and move anything. I literally just kind of poured it once I had mixed it in the cup. And then we got that look there, which I really like. It looks really cool. And then let's see this one. That one's really neat too. So there we go. Now the white, as you can see, it does kind of drop a little bit. So when it's not fully mixed in, it does create some really interesting kind of drop patterns, but I really like it, to be honest. And I mean, if you like the back better, now you have two options, which side you want to use, but I really like how this looks here. So, and you can actually kind of see, I must have did like an S shape when I poured. So you can, you know, pour in lines straight across, or however you want to pour in order to kind of change the look. But I really like how both of these kind of turned out. Now the next thing I want to do is I do want to add some gold edging to them. So let me just get my stuff sorted out for that and I'll be back. Okay, before we start painting, I did want to just show the next step that I'm doing here. So you can see here that I've actually kind of beveled the edge a little bit, because I didn't, when I do my edging, I like having a bit of a beveled edge on my coaster. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll do like the dome coat first, or like a flood coat, and then that helps kind of give us that kind of a, you know, rounded edge, you know, a little bit of a rounded or beveled edge along here, because I don't really like when it's like a 90-degree angle at the top. So I just find that the paint goes on nicer when I don't have that 90 degrees, because it's not cutting the paint. So what I did is I just used my utility knife, and I just went around and trimmed the edges. I'll show you really quick here with the green one, or blue, I guess. But if you have a deburring tool, I don't have mine here, but if you have that, you could use that as well for that, for this process, because it's not a lot. We're just literally going around and just kind of taking off a really small kind of angled edge off of it, just to kind of, you know, give us a bit of a bevel. So if you want to sand, if you have a Dremel, you could use that as well. I've kind of limited the amount of sanding and dremeling that I've been doing, because I don't actually I don't really enjoy that, especially with the fact that when you are using a Dremel or sanding, you should be wearing your equipment, like your respirator and things, because the dust from it is actually, from resin, is not good. It's very the particles can get in your lungs, and it's a really bad thing. So so I just kind of try to eliminate sanding as much as I can in my work. So in this case, like I said, all I'm doing is just kind of trimming the trimming off the sharp edge with my blade. So I'm going to finish that up and I'll be back to paint. Okay, so I'm back, and so now both of these are done. And the other reason why I was going to mention that I like doing the edges like this is because it gives that more like kind of a natural rustic kind of, especially for this, like the agate kind of look to it. So you can see that I just went ahead and did that for both of them. So there we go. All right, so for painting now, if you've seen some of my older videos, I've shown this product before. So I use a enamel gold paint. I know some people use the pens. I've used the pens in the past too, but I actually prefer this product. So this brand is Testors, and it's an enamel metallic. So it's used for like painting models, like little model cars or model figures. And because it's an enamel, it doesn't really need to be top coated or sealed or anything. Like it's its own, it does that on its own. So it does have a curing period. So I would usually say like it's dry within like, you know, 24 hours or whatever, a few hours. But well, let's say it's dry within about 6 to 8 hours, but then curing, it has a similar like resin where it actually needs a while to actually cure hard enough that it's not going to be, it's going to be a little bit more scratch resistant and things like that. So, and I usually say about a week is what I would normally, I haven't really tested it to know for sure, but I would say it's about that long to kind of have it kind of cured and hardened. So this way I'm not too concerned about it being scratched as much. I mean, obviously, like anything, it could get scratched if something sharp gets next to it, but just from normal wear and tear, it's not so bad. Okay, so anyway, so I poured in my paint here. So here we go. And I'm going to just give it a little mix, like so. And the way that I paint, and like I said, they obviously, I mean, you saw me earlier, I pulled off a piece of this gold that was on this. So obviously this company is using something else, some sort of foil on here. I'm not going to be doing that. I prefer to use the paint, but it does have a pretty metallic look as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will be painting along the edge here. And again, because it's an agate style, we don't need to be super like neat here. It can look a little bit, you know, rugged or rough looking. So I'm not going to be overly worried about exactly how the edges are looking. If I'm doing some of my other coasters where I have, you know, a much more consistent looking edge, then I'm much more careful. But for this, you know, we can kind of have a little fun with it. So I'll go into a quick time lapse, just get these edges done, and then we'll be back to do the sides. Okay, so let's just get that a little bit there. All right, so there is our edging. Now, I think that looked, and I touched it. So let's see if we can pick it up without touching. Did I touch it? No. Okay, so here is the purple one. Now we still have to do the sides, but just to show you the top, what it looks like. So it has that same similar metallic finish. I mean, it's not identical because foil is always going to be a little bit different, but it does have a similar metallic finish to it. And then let's see if I can grab the other one. Just tweezers, maybe that'll be better. No, not really. But there's our green, blue, green. So we're going to do the edges. Now, one thing I did want to mention too is that I do think that you can get this effect with pigment paste, like certain ones. I think the big thing is, because I do have some translucent pigment paste that's out there, I think that you want to stay away from is mica powders or anything pearlescent. I mean, you might be able to get some really unique effects with that. So if you want to test it out, for sure, go ahead and do that. But I think this kind of a more translucent looks. I find the mica powders tend to, even if you add a little bit, it does kind of add like a cloudiness. Like it, I guess it's the mica, it's the powder effect. It doesn't give a true translucency. So I think you might want to stay away from that. But obviously, if you want to test it, and I just touched it. If you want to test it out, do that, and maybe let me know how that worked out. I mean, I might test it myself, but I mean, I use mica powder a lot in my pieces, and I haven't achieved this look. Not that I've tried specifically, but even when I create semi-translucent pieces, it hasn't really been a look like this. So I think that the translucent pigment paste will work. And of course, these dyes I think work really well. And the benefit of the dyes is, especially if you're just kind of starting out, or if you're just on a budget and you just want to, you know, kind of test this out to see how you like it. I think the resin dye is a lot less expensive because you get a whole box. Let me show you, just one second. You get this whole box here. I mean, I took the lid off mine, but it's like 16 colors in the box. And so you get quite a bit, and I can't remember what I paid, but it's definitely less than what you pay for a single color. Sorry, I don't know. The box is probably more than a single color, but I'm just saying if you want to have, like I use 5 colors here, to buy 5 different colors of pigment paste is going to cost more generally, depending on the brand, than the box of resin dye. So I think if you're just starting out or you're on a budget, it might be great to kind of start out here. Obviously, pigment paste, the pots are bigger, so you're going to get a lot more over time, a lot more use out of it. So it is worthwhile if you're going to be making a lot. Like if you plan on, you know, doing this technique on, you know, for one of your main products or something like that, then yes, you know, the pigment paste over time will be worth more value. But if it's just something you want to start out with and kind of test out, see the kind of, you know, the look that you get, or if you like it, then I would say that the resin dye might be the better option for that purpose. And, or you just might like the look better. I don't know. Like I said, I'll have to test out doing this with pigment paste and see what the difference is. But anyway, so I just finished the edge on this one. So there we go. So I really like how that turned out. I think it looks really cute. So I'm gonna let that one dry. Actually, let me get my cup. So I usually like putting those on a cup and sitting them up there. And I'll do the other one and do their time lapse, and I'll be back. Okay, so there we go. So there's our purple, and edges are all done. All right, so there we go. So I'm gonna let this one dry as well, and for cleaning, you can just use some of the isopropyl alcohol there to clean the brushes for this, and then that's perfectly usable again. So I'm gonna let these dry, and then we'll be back to wrap up. Okay, so I've been gone all day, and everything is dry now, so we can pick these up. And so you can see this one here. And this one, I mean, in person, it is semi, you know, you kind of see through it a little bit. I don't know if you can see through it on camera there, but it does have a bit of see-through translucency, I guess, through it. And in terms of the detailing, you have control. Like if you want it to be more translucent than this, obviously you just put less of the dyes in it. And if you don't want the extra white lines, you don't add a second batch of the white dye in it. You could just do it without it, and you wouldn't have any of the white streaks. You'd only have the other colors. And the same thing with the purple here as well. This one's a bit more see-through. And same thing, if you didn't want this white detailing, you could just not put that extra bit of white at the end. And you could also just mix your mixture a little bit more if you wanted less of the kind of striation details in here. So I did make myself a mold just for my own personal use of a couple of these. So I did make these ones as well. Same technique, everything was the same. So you can see this one here. Same thing, I just kind of mixed in some color so you can actually see, like, it's very similar, even with the difference in gold. I mean, you can see the difference here in the gold. So this is a foil, and this is the metallic that I'm using. So for me, I don't mind this. This is an actual foil. So if you want to gold foil it, you can definitely do that. But if you decide to do that, you will need to either varnish, top coat, or like pour another top coat of resin, something to kind of seal that in. Because it does come off. So, but for this one, like I said, I really like this gold, and it is an enamel, so it doesn't really come off. So that's that one, and then this is the green one, or similar bluish green one that I made, and same thing, kind of translucent, and lots of really neat details. And this one, it has a little bit less of the white, and it has a lot more layering in there, just the way that it was poured and mixed. And that's what's really cool about this technique as well, is every one of these is going to come out completely unique, because even though the mixture might be the same, how it pours and how is going to end up being completely different. So the overall finished look of it. But anyways, guys, I am all done here. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I hope this helps. I know that there's been a lot of questions out there of how we get these kind of effects, and especially when we're used to only using like mica powders or certain types of colorants, we forget that, you know, we could possibly get a different look. I'm sure it's possible to do something like this with alcohol inks. Again, I don't use them. It's just not my preferred way of pigmenting resin. So if you have tried something like this with alcohol ink and you have advice for anybody in the chat, feel free to leave comments down below. on your recommendations and things like that of how that can work, or if you've attempted, you know, this style with a different technique or a different type of pigment. Again, feel free to leave that information in the comments, because I'm sure it'll be helpful for anybody who is looking for it as well. So this is just my attempt. I really like how this looks. This is probably would be my go-to way to do this. I do think at some point I probably will attempt to do it with the pigment pastes, you know, the ones that are more translucent, because a lot of the ones I have actually are pearlescent or more of like that mica look to it. But I do have a few that are just that more translucent type. So I think that could work as well. But again, I think this is probably even a kind of quicker, easier way to do it. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to leave a comment below. And if you want to follow me on any of my socials or find my website, just look in the description below the video here. You'll see my beacons link. The beacons actually has everything in there. It has my website, my socials. If you want to buy me a coffee, all that is there as well. And if you're looking for any of the materials that I'm using here, I will list them in the description below the video as well. Thanks so much, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!